those are the end of my prepared comments. I'd be glad to answer any questions that you might have. Don?
And, with regard to this, certainly we hear about it out in this part of the state. Obviously, it's a hot button topic out there, but based on what we are hearing from the legislature, and also I hear the stuff that's on talk radio and that, well, there seems to be a very divided opinion on this. And the fact is, even though our oil tax, extraction tax is high, it doesn't seem to be impeding the oil companies. I know you alluded to that a little bit, but it seems like there's probably more business they can handle now.
I think that's a conversation that we hear out there. A lot of people don't understand who pays the tax. You know, the person that's living in Stanley, North Dakota, that has mineral rights on their farm, they pay the tax, not the big oil company. You know, and so we have to be careful. One of the things, Don, one of the reasons that I am involved in this project is because I heard too much when people said maybe we should lower the oil tax. I heard too much. Leaders in our state saying, oh, we can't because we need the revenue. I mean, we have doubled the state budget since I left office. The revenues from the oil and tax extraction tax in the last budget cycle were $800 million. This one, they're $2 billion. We have plenty of revenue. You know, revenue isn't the issue. The time to fix tax policy is now, when you have revenues, when you can deal with the way that you can balance out those dollars coming. Importantly, on the discovery wells that are taking place, the legacy wells, those are big, huge wells, and they're in a sweet spot. If you look at the drilling patterns in North Dakota, they're right down a corridor that runs north and south in our state. And those are big wells. They're 250 barrel a day wells, and they're producing a lot of revenue. But as you move out, as you get these legacy wells done, guess what? The production, the pressure in the oil formations, the production wells get less and less, and they get to be 50 and 60 barrel a day wells as you move out in the perimeters. Those are competitive with any other state. The Bakken isn't exclusive to North Dakota. The Bakken runs under Minnesota, it runs under Saskatchewan. We have huge oil reserves in Texas and California. And we need to be competitive with those states as we continue the production so that our oil companies that are investing in the state continue to do so. If we get out of balance with our tax system, they will drill elsewhere.
You say it's the mineral rights owner, not the oil companies that pay the tax? What if the oil companies aren't paying the tax, why would they hesitate then?
Hesitate for what?
Hesitate to drill in North Dakota if they're not paying the tax.
Well, they pay their portion of the tax of the well that they own. So let's say in a well you got 10 mineral owners in that well, and 5 of them were owned by private citizens in North Dakota, and 5 of those shares of minerals were owned by the company. They pay the tax on those companies as well.
Okay, so
you know, so it's but my point is we tend to say, oh, it's the big bad oil companies, and why can't they pay the tax? But in the reality, many mineral owners in small communities and big communities across North Dakota also are paying the tax.
And I'm sorry, Governor, is it you're looking to be on a competitive level with Montana at about 9.5, or are they focused on that?
You know, I don't. Our effort is not to propose a certain rate. Our effort is not to propose what triggers might be. I mean, our effort is to generate public opinion to bring the tax into balance. We have to be competitive with the marketplace. We know that Minnesota right now is looking to reduce their business taxes to attract North Dakota businesses back to Minnesota. We can't let that happen in the oil industry. You know, Montana gives an 18-month holiday for new wells, tax holiday for new wells in their state.
Is that for new wells?
I believe it is. So it makes that makes a huge difference if you're going to go drill a new well. And if you get a 50 barrel a day well in North Dakota, and you can get 18 months on a 50 barrel a day well in Montana, why would you do it? So I think importantly, we want to get the people to understand how the taxes affect. We want to get citizens to visualize the future and what we need to do now so that 12 years from now we don't have a problem. And we encourage public support to interact with the legislative assembly so that we can fix the tax and we can reduce the spending in the state of North Dakota.
Governor, what would you personally like to see in terms of what would you think would be a good balance? What would you like to see this tax rate reduced to?
I had suggested when I spoke to the oil folks this summer, I suggested 9 1/4. I suggested 9 1/4 because that's what other surrounding states are, and it made sense to me. You know, I think that's reasonable. I think we need to be competitive, but you know, if the legislature wants to drop to 7, that'd be great.